Hi, my name is Ashley, and I'm a professional makeup artist and certified highlight and contour artist specializing in professional makeovers, bridal makeup, skincare, and color matching. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the art of highlight and contour and show you how to achieve this very popular trend in your everyday makeup routine. First off, highlight and contour is a great technique if you want to sculpt your face or add definition. It's used to define your face, add dimension, and create structure. Highlight and contour can give you a more angular, defined appearance, highlight existing bone structure, create higher cheekbones, a sharper jawline, and reshape your nose. It's the technique where you use darker shades of makeup to add definition and lighter shades to draw attention or to bring light to the other areas of the face. There are many more advanced techniques of highlight and contour such as touring, non-touring, strobing, and baking, but today we're just going to stick to the basics. Most people want to credit Kim Kardashian with the art or invention of highlight and contour, but truth is this technique has been around for many years prior to Kim K. Actually, credit goes to the drag queen community. They were using the technique way back into the early 80s because highlight and contour is used to exaggerate or transform one's bone structure. This technique became a thing when they used makeup to soften harsh angles, camouflage Adam's apples, and make cheekbones and brow bones pop. Now, of course, the technique is as basic as using mascara and blush. What's important to remember about highlight and contour is that it takes time to learn, so practice and be patient. The first step is to understand your face shape, so let's start there. Let's talk about how you should contour a face per its shape. With round faces, the forehead, cheekbones, and jawline all have the same measurements. To contour a round face, you should aim at highlighting the sides of the forehead, the cheekbones, and the jawline to give a more angular look. Square faces are similar to round, with the difference being that round faces have softer corners. Contouring techniques for a square face involve giving a softer look to the edges. An oval face is a perfectly shaped face where the forehead is larger than the cheekbones and the face is long with an angular jawline. People with an oval-shaped face should look at perfecting small details through face contouring. Heart-shaped faces have a wide forehead and pointed chin. Contouring a heart-shaped face involves smoothing and softening the pointiness of the chin to make it appear smoother. Long faces have equalized forehead, cheekbones, and jawline, but on a longer sized face. Contour techniques involve making the face appear smaller by contouring around the forehead and jawline. So to start with the basics, what tools and products do you need? Where do you start? You always want to start with a clean and moisturized face and apply your primer and foundation as you normally would. As you can see, I've done my eyebrows and I've applied my primer and foundation, and you can see how flat my face looks. But once I do my highlight and contour, it will add back in depth and dimension and structure to my face. You start the highlight and contour process with highlighting first. This means we want to highlight the areas we want to stand out. You want to choose a highlight in a shade lighter than your foundation. This could be a liquid concealer, cream concealer, or a powder. I like to use a liquid concealer. You're going to start by applying under the eye along the lash line, working your way down, creating a triangle under the eye to the lowest point parallel to the nose. This will help highlight the cheekbones and draw attention to the eyes opening up the face. And if it looks a little messy, that's okay. Next, you want to move on to your forehead. So don't take your highlight too high up the forehead because you don't want to create a massive forehead, but you want to highlight the forehead so it will also open up the face. Keep the highlight small and subtle. You can create a small triangle. And then take your concealer down the bridge of your nose and adding a small amount to the chin. And I also like to do a little bit on the Cupid's bow right there. Now we want to move on to contouring. Contouring should be a shade darker than your foundation. Like I said, it's all about defining certain aspects of your face. The idea is to copy an actual shadow that is on your face and make it seem as if you have more chiseled features. So using a contour shade, just one shade darker is good. Going darker in your contour or too dark does not create additional depth or shadows. Instead, it will make your face look older, emphasizing flaws instead of hiding them. You can use up to 2 shades darker and a highlight up to 2 shades lighter. This dramatic contrast can really create a very slimming effect. And the same applies, you can use a contour in a liquid, cream, or powder. I like to use a cream contour stick. So I'm going to start by applying the contour along my cheekbones, and I want to start where my cheekbone ends in a spot parallel to the tip of my nose. You can take your contour up this way, which you would take it ending near the hairline, or you can take it down, ending towards parallel to your nose. But make sure both sides are even and parallel with one another. Both sides need to match each other. Next, you want to move on to the jawline. So you're going to start near the ears and draw down until you hit the chin. Work each side down until the sides meet. I also like to do a little bit right here just to add a little extra definition. Now make sure that you've only applied to the jawline and that the contour does not creep up onto the face or go too far down the underside of the chin. Next, you want to move on to the nose. So the way you contour your nose depends on the shape of your nose and what you are trying to hide, define, or emphasize. Many want their nose to appear smaller or narrower, so to achieve this look, apply the contour along the sides of the nose, right beside where you applied the highlight. Okay, so when contouring the forehead, apply just beneath the hairline, leaving the middle of the forehead clean. You want to blend down to the sides of the face, connecting with the cheekbones, forming a semicircle. Okay, so now to blend. It's best to use a clean brush or one that is only used for contouring. Previously used brushes spread other shades of makeup into areas you do not want them to go. I usually use a stipple brush or a damp beauty blender for my contour, and then a different damp beauty blender for my highlight. Rely on clean brushes or blenders to ensure blending is how you want it. Most professionals prefer a mixed approach, meaning that the blending is done perfectly to give a natural and flawless look. A good way to do this is to start with a brush and then finish with a beauty blender. Blend your highlight by using a tapping motion, tapping it into the skin. And if you take it up, it will actually lift your eyes, giving you a mini facelift. Next, you want to blend your contour out into your highlight. If you're using a brush, you want to use circular motions so that it looks natural. Failure to blend it all out will result in obvious lines on the face, ruining the flawlessness of your look. Since I'm using a beauty blender, I'm just tapping it into the skin and just really making sure that I do have it all blended. So I usually just take my middle finger and just kind of go against my sides of my nose to blend out the contour on my nose. Highlight and contour takes practice, so you really just have to keep working at it until you really get the method of it down. Blending is going to be the most important step, actually. If it's not blended, it's not going to look good. So you always want to make sure that you blend. So if it takes a little longer to blend, allow yourself that extra time so you can get all your product blended. If I were to blend in my product with a brush, this would be the time I would blend it in with the brush, and then I could go back and use my beauty blender just to really give it that extra blending step to make sure it's all blended out. Now, if you use cream or liquid products to highlight and contour, you'll more than likely need to set with a powder. You can use a bronzer for your contour. A matte bronzer attracts less attention and can be blended a bit easier than other types of powders, and it's a bit more subtle for daytime looks. It produces a slightly less dramatic look. Use a light color or even a translucent powder for setting your highlight. But here's a couple tips you should remember. Never brush your setting powder on a contoured face. This can result in highlight being spread to the contour and vice versa, ruining the overall look. You want to press your powder into the cream and gently spread out. Start with under the eyes and then press into the forehead, working down the nose and finally the chin. So I'm going to use just a light colored face powder to set the concealed areas, starting under my eyes. Pressing into my forehead, working down my nose and my chin. And I also applied some on the Cupid's bow, so set that right there. So I'm using a clean, lighter brush for my powder, and I'm going to switch to a brush that I use for setting my contour, and I'm just going to use a bronzing contour powder. So I want to set my contour, brush off any excess powder. You can start lighter and then build up if needed. So you want to brush in long strokes, starting at the cheekbones, brushing upwards into the hairline, and then apply along your jawline, running some under the chin and neck, but make it look natural. So I'm hitting all the areas with this contour powder, this bronzing powder, I'm hitting all the areas that I use the contour stick on. Those are the areas that I need to set. I didn't contour under my chin with cream, but I do go ahead and do that with powder. Contouring under your lip will give your lip a little extra fullness and make it look a little more pouty. So I like these two-sided brushes because I can use this smaller end to contour my nose. If you ever feel like you have too much contour, you can take your damp beauty blender and just press in to those areas that you feel are a little too much, and that will diffuse the product. Because remember, we want to make everything look natural and blended. So we don't want to have any harsh lines. Okay, so I'm going to add a little blush. Right kind of above my contour there. Now, what about highlighter? Not the highlighter in the highlight and contour process, but the illuminating highlight, like strobing. This effect gives a dewy look to your makeup look, and it's just a simple add that can give you some sparkle and brighten your face. Powder highlights are best for naturally oily skin, whereas liquid highlights are ideal for dry skin. It's best to use a golden shade because this will emphasize the highlighting work you've done without competing for attention. So you want to dab just a little bit of highlight just above the contoured cheekbones. So don't put it directly onto your contour and blush. They should all be in 3 separate areas and not layered on top of one another. If they are layered, they will look muddy, ruining your makeup look. I like to use this Pharmacy 3-in-1 palette. It has a bronzer, a blush, and a highlight in it. And it's best to use a fan brush when applying highlight. So I'm going to go just above my contour and blush. So you want to keep your highlight away from your hairline. And here's another tip. Liquid highlighters show up beautifully on film and reflect the sunlight during the day. They're longer lasting and they look good at night, and they also are great for brides and proms because you don't have to set it. Using a powder highlight it's best to use the fan brush, as I was saying. You can go a little bit above the brow line. You can go down the bridge of your nose. And then also you can put a little bit, if you wanted to, you could put a little bit under your brow bone just to kind of open up your eyes. It will make your eyes appear larger and brighter, and that's also really perfect for photographs. I like to add a little bit just into the inner corner of my eyes. For me, that seems to open my eyes up more and make them pop, and it just gives it that little extra oomph. Also, you want to add some just right there on your Cupid's bow. Lastly, use a setting spray to set your entire look to ensure it lasts all day. In the summer months, keep your setting spray in the refrigerator to help your makeup feel cooler. So it's important to remember that highlight and contour should not be noticeable, just a subtle definition, and I do mean subtle. In other words, it's all about the artistry and illusion. You want to create shadow with contour. Highlighting is especially important when you contour because it brings light back into the areas that are naturally hit by the sunlight and gives your makeup more of a 3D effect. Also remember this, hard lines are not elegant. Use a foundation brush, a stipple brush, or a damp beauty blender or sponge and tap into the contour to make sure there are no obvious lines. blend, blend, and blend some more. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this tutorial helped you learn how to highlight and contour. Be sure to follow me on all my social media platforms by going to my Linktree, which I have pinned below. And then you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok as well. Have a good day. Love you.